Hello everyone. Today we're going to take a look at the Gamerz Tek 16-bit entertainment system. Now, I gotta give some full disclosure before I start this because I always promised you that I would be fully honest and open about any sort of side deal or, sponsored content that I ever have on my channel. And this one, it's not sponsored content, but it's kind of in this weird gray area, so I'm just going to go ahead and disclose everything to you guys so you know what's going on. Anyways, this console, I did not pay for it. I got it for free from Gamerz Tek. It was just a freebie. And the way that I got that is because, as you remember in the original 8-bit entertainment system review that I did, there was no paperwork in there or anything indicating that there was a warranty. So that's why I just went ahead and did the review without bothering with any warranty or anything. And then it was Zed himself, the guy from Zed's Games Inc. or whatever, who actually got back to me and was like, he actually just put in the comments right there, he was like, hey dude, we have a 1-year warranty on our systems, send it back and then we'll go ahead and take care of you. And anyway, so they sent me a replacement console, and when they sent me the replacement, they actually just threw in the 16-bit entertainment system right there for free, with no explanation or anything. I didn't get any letter, any email, anything. They just sent me both consoles, and so it's kind of not sponsored content because, I mean, there's no sponsored deal in there. There's no agreement. I never said like, hey, send me some free stuff and I'll make a review for you. And he didn't send it to me with any notes saying like, hey, I'm gonna send this to you, but you must make a video. He just sent it to me knowing full well that some dude like me will just go ahead and make a video. So he correctly predicted that I would do that. And anyways, though, I just want to put it out there that I did not pay for this, so you might want to keep that in mind when I review this. But I haven't even taken it out of its box, and I hope that you guys will see that even if I get something for free, I can still be unbiased and give my honest opinion on it. So, anyways, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and unbox this. Still, that guy Zed, he's actually pretty cool. I gotta give it to him, because if I owned a company that made consoles, and then some loser on YouTube said that my console... Sorry for that noise. If I had made my own console, and then some loser on YouTube said that my console was absolute junk, I would not be in the mood to give him anything for free. So I gotta give it to Zed. He is quite a man. He is quite a gentleman for giving me something for free after I was none too kind to the first review. I mean, I was honest with it, but I just didn't give it a recommendation in the end. But that also says a lot about the quality of his consoles, because I mean, he was confident enough to send me a replacement, and also this, knowing that it's like, hey, this guy didn't give me a good review, but I have a feeling that he's gonna like the next one that I send him. So, oh well, it shows that he's got some confidence in his product. Cool, they included a separate S-video connector right here. Interesting. And then we have regular RCA cables. Power adapter. Jesus Christ, this is heavy. It is a heavy, heavy power adapter. Dun! Alright. Then we have the controllers. Ooh, these actually feel pretty nice. Nice, and it has Gamerz Tek right there. And you know what, just to let you guys know, then there's another controller in here. I don't think there's anything else, is there? There's a extra baggie that just kind of got lost in there. Yeah, there's nothing else in here. Did this one have instructions either? Let me see. No instructions in the box. But, anyways, just to let you guys know, I plan to compare this to the Super Retro Trio, which I think is a worthy contender, just like it was to the Gamerz Tek 8-bit NES system. So, let's take a look at the controllers first, because, as we know, the 8-bit entertainment system, that one had some controllers that were a little funky, except for their newer ones, which were just absolutely perfect. So, let's see what we got here. Oh, so many zip ties. So little time. Oh, sorry, I hit the camera. Alright. These feel pretty nice. However, I can tell that they're a little bit different than what you would expect with original Super NES controllers. The buttons, again, they're a little stiff, just a little stiff, and also the start and select, they're plastic. They're not rubber membrane. And the D-pad, that's pretty nice. It does not bottom out, so that's a really good sign. Even with putting pressure right in the middle, it doesn't bottom out, so I do like that. However, it does seem like the dimensions and everything are a little bit different than what we're used to with Super NES. I really should have... here we go. I've got the... oh, dang it. Got the wires all screwed up. Here we go. This is the Retro-Bit Super NES controller. And I wish I had thought to bring the original Super NES controller in here. But again, as we know, the Retro-Bit Super NES style controller is identical to the Nintendo units. And as you can see, there are some differences right here. The D-pad on the Gamerz Tek one, it's a little bit more square, whereas this, it's a little more rounded. And also these start and select buttons, they are a membrane on the Retro-Bit unit. And also the shoulder buttons are a little bit different as well. And by the way, also these ones, they have a very light clicky, well not clicky, but a very light touch to activate them. These ones, they are a little bit heavier. So we're kind of having that little issue that we had with the 8-bit entertainment system. Then the shoulder buttons, they're pretty nice, but to be honest, they take a lot less effort to push than these right here. But either way, the shoulder buttons on the Retro-Bit controller, they are a lot smoother. Whereas this one, they're, I don't know, really clunky almost. But it also has that little rubbery thingy right there, whereas this one, it doesn't. It's just like the original Nintendo stuff. But anyway, so I gotta give it to the Retro-Bit guys. They did win on the controller front because these ones, try as they might, they are not identical to the original hardware. So, put those to the side. Now let's take a look at the console. Oh, wait. The paperwork is in there. Okay. Let's see what the warranty says. Thank you for purchasing Gamerz Tek, blah, blah, blah. Alright, so it's exactly like what we got with the, almost exactly as what we got with the original 8-bit system. Except it does talk about S-Video with 16-bit and all that sort of thing. And again, 1-year warranty on defective stuff. So, that is good because they stand by their product. And as far as their product goes, it's a lot lighter than an original Super NES. And, let's see, that's nice. It doesn't have those little tabs, so it will play imports. And, looks really nice. The Z2. Of course, the 8-bit entertainment system was Z1. I wonder if there's ever going to be a Z3. That's going to be really interesting. And, yeah, this looks pretty good. Let's see how those controllers fit in here. What happened to my controller? There we go. Alrighty. Yeah, they fit really nicely right there. It is a button, it doesn't slide. Also with reset. Alright, this is pretty much like a Super NES console. I like it that it actually went with the Model 1 North American Super NES console. And by the way, that wasn't difficult to take out. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't just yank it out. So, yeah, this actually looks really nice. And I like this too. This is all reminiscent of the original Super NES stuff. And you know what? I actually didn't want to show this because I didn't clean it off, and it's been in a closet for years and years and years. But here is my original Super NES console that I bought from a friend way back in like the early 2000s. I paid way too much for it. I got ripped off. And but here's the original Super NES, and I'm ashamed to show this because it's just so dirty. It's been in the closet. But anyways, as you can see, it's about the same size. But you see where there's that little indent at the top? It's almost like they just went to the butcher shop and just took it off right there. That's really cool. But anyways, yeah, so it's pretty much the same dimensions. I like it that they went with the original Super Nintendo look, which, to be honest, I think it's a pretty underrated look right there. Unless it's starting to yellow, which mine is. Which, again, that kind of shows that that's not related to exposure to light. Because this one, like I said, it's been in the closet for years and years and years, and it's starting to yellow, and it's just been in a dark closet. So it is something to do with, like, ozone or something with the compounds that they had, the flame-resistant plastic that they used. But hopefully, the Gamerz Tek system will not yellow on you. I'm hoping. But this isn't going to be a long-term test, so I don't think I could prove that. But still, it looks really good. I like it. Let's go ahead and try out the games now. This console works really well. I was really surprised with the build quality. It didn't even need to be broken in, which is something that you typically have to do on a brand new clone system. It wasn't grabby with my cartridges or anything. The build quality actually feels better than the Gamerz Tek NES clone. But I don't know, maybe that's just an illusion because this one is bigger and slightly heavier. I have no complaints about the video quality. None of the colors looked off to me. It seems like it puts out a really clean signal. The digital transfer doesn't look so good, but believe me, on the CRT television it actually does look great. On the audio side though, for some reason it is a little loud, so you have to turn the sound down, but I really don't have any other complaints there. And when it comes to game compatibility, it's pretty good. It played all of my games except for one of them, which I'll talk about in just a sec. You see, the compatibility is really high, but that's not really anything that's too impressive. Super NES and Genesis emulation has been locked down for a really long time. Ever since the Retro Duo hit the market, there really hasn't been any clone console that had major incompatibility issues. So to be honest, getting high compatibility with a Super NES clone is not really anything to brag about. So it's unfortunate that the only game I have that won't play is my Japanese copy of Kirby 3. All it will give me is a black screen. I don't know if it has the same problem with the North American version of the game. I only own the Japanese version because I'm cheap. But the other two Japanese Kirby games do work. And just to let you know, the Super Retro Trio will play Kirby 3. It plays all my Super NES games. So you see, when everybody else can do Super NES emulation, getting even one incompatible game looks bad. I've also heard some reports that certain versions of Super Mario RPG don't work, but all I could tell you is that my copy did work. One other thing I wanted to point out is that this console looks great with Super NES games. It seems to me like this thing was made for the North American market. But getting back to that controller, it's awful. It has that same problem I was talking about in that first look at the Gamerz Tek NES clone. The buttons are just too stiff. It doesn't have that lightweight and bouncy feel that the original controllers had. And don't get me started on the D-pad. It feels way too mushy. The way that a good D-pad works is that you know that there's a certain amount of pressure that you push in order to activate a certain direction. But with this controller, that amount of pressure does not feel consistent at all. And because of that, it's impossible to control a game like Super Mario Land where the controls are very twitchy. It just doesn't feel right and I was never able to get used to it. Use the original Nintendo controllers instead. And while we're talking about Game Boy, that's one of its biggest weaknesses. The Game Boy sound is very loud and very muffled. And that problem is always there, so I do not recommend using the Super Game Boy on this thing. Alright, now here's the big question. Do I recommend this console? But before I answer that, let me answer a different question. Is this the right console for me personally? And to that, I'm going to say no, it isn't. Because you guys know from watching this channel that I'm a huge Game Boy fan. So I need that Super Game Boy to perform flawlessly, and it's just not going to happen with this. It has that audio issue, and it's always there. So I can't play Game Boy games on this, and that's a big part of a Super Nintendo to me, personally. It might not be to you, though, but we'll get into that in a second. Another thing is that the controllers, I thought that I could grow into them. The ones that came with the Gamerz Tek, they look enough like a Super NES controller. I thought that I could grow into them. They did have their differences, but I just can't. I always want to go back to the original Nintendo stuff or use the Super Retro Trio one, which of course won't work on this because this uses the Super NES input and the Super Retro Trio uses that Genesis input. But anyways, the fact of the matter is that I couldn't get used to these controllers. They just didn't feel right to me. And that was a big setback. But it is not the right console for me, but I think it might be the right console for you. It could be. I don't know. But it does everything that it plans to do, that it said that it would do. I mean, it even says it's 99 or 97.5% compatible, whatever, with the original library. So it does have that one game that I have, which admittedly is a Japanese game, which I don't think a lot of people in North America are going to have. And that one was incompatible. But the rest of them did work for me. They did work. So I think that if you do have a lot of Super NES games and you're looking for a way to play them, this could actually do it for you. And it's actually really cool that it is a standalone Super NES console because when I thought about it, I actually can't say that I know of any other Super NES standalone systems. And that actually is something that is coming up today because we are actually getting to a point where there are more people who want to play the original consoles than there actually are consoles out there in the wild. I think that's actually why these clone consoles exist. And one of the good things about the Gamerz Tek consoles is that at the very least, what I could guarantee you about these consoles, at the very least you will get what you paid for. And these are the cheapest consoles you could find. In fact, I'm surprised. I'm amazed at the quality for the price that you pay for. But including the 8-bit Gamerz Tek console, these are just so incredibly cheap. I think this one is like, what, 30 bucks or something. And for 30 bucks, I would not expect this thing to have such high compatibility with all the Super FX chips, with all those games I have. And I could not expect that for that price. And like I said, with you guys, you are going to get at least what you paid for. You're going to have an incompatibility here or there, you know, just a handful of games. But that's impressive for such a cheap device, you know. And especially with Super NES consoles, with the originals going for, what, 50 or 60 bucks these days? For half the price to get this and still get some really good quality, that is actually pretty impressive, you know? So it might be the right console for you, but it's not the right console for me. And one of the cool things, though, is that this is a very good starter console, because there are some people who are just barely getting into the retro scene right now. In fact, I was really surprised with the 8-bit Gamerz Tek episode, because in the comments, I was having some people come to me and say, like, hey, you know, I haven't really collected for NES, but is this a good console to do that with? And at least for that, I was able to just say right off the bat, yes, of course it is. I definitely recommend it because it's just such a cheap console, and that way it's very low investment on your end. You could go ahead and get your games, find out if you want to stay in the collector scene, if it's right for you. It's not for some people. But this is a great starter console, a great way to actually get into the scene and see if it's for you. It's kind of like, you know, if you're getting into the collector car market, you don't start out with a Ferrari or something. You want to start out with a smaller car or a smaller console in this case, so that way you get the ball rolling and see if this is the right place for you. So I think for some people where it's just a little bit more expensive than they want to pay for a Super NES console, or they want to wait out and see if they can find a good deal, like I said, if you're getting into it, you could always just get this one, you know, then cheaply you have a Super NES up and running. And then later on, if you find one at a garage sale for 10 or 15 bucks, then go ahead and get it and then give this to a friend or something. Pass it on. But another thing, it also makes a really good gift. And I kind of wish that I had made this episode before the holidays, because I really hope that at least one of you guys woke up to this underneath the tree, because this would actually be a great gift to give to anyone. I mean, think about it. Like I said, this is about 30 bucks, and let's say Super Mario World, you could find that at a used game store for 30 bucks as well. Some little retro shop will have it there. They always have Super Mario World cards. But you could go ahead and get that. That is $60 right there. So for the price of a new game today, you could have them unbox a Super NES with Super Mario World. That's incredible. I mean, that would be the best present that you could ever think of. But either way, so it's not the right console for me, but it might be the right console for you, or it might be the right console for someone else. But either way, there is some value here, and I don't feel comfortable with discounting it completely. I really do think that there is some value here. I was having fun with it when I was playing with it. So I gotta say that I do recommend it, but it's just not for me. It might be for one of you out there, and if this is the type of thing that you are looking for, or even if you're just looking for a conversation piece, like I said, the only standalone Super NES console, but a clone console. But if you are looking for this sort of thing, you are at least going to get your money's worth, and that is enough value for most people out there. So if you're beyond this already, if you already have a Super NES, if you already have a Super Retro Trio, and you are not looking for one of these, then don't get it, because obviously it's not going to satisfy you. But if this is the type of console you're looking for, I don't think you're going to be disappointed, but just make sure that you get the original controllers. But either way, that's my 2 cents. I hope I helped you guys out. I'll see you guys next time.